All right, I got a little story I really want to share with you guys. And it's maybe something you can relate to. But first of all, there are no shirts yet for sale, and because people ask me about that. And what does that actually mean? So, we're talking, that happened also the last year, about UI5 and evolution. So this is some kind of evolution. And this here is, of course, the UI5 guy in the end. And he's obviously some binary person, and he absolutely rocks, right? So this is kind of Michael Jackson move. And this was the idea behind that. The title is a little bit difficult to explain, but I think you really did a great job. So before we get to the details and to the code and the examples, I'm going to share this little story with you guys. I hope it's going to work. Here it is. So there's a consultant, a technology consultant. I guess there are some here. And this guy was invited by the CIO or CTO of some company. They produce furniture. And they have like about 20,000 employees worldwide. They have 200 developers. And 100 of those developers are working for the SAP department. I'm just making up a little story here. And he invited this guy. His name is Cody Code. And he's a UI5 guy. So he knows Fiori, UI5, he knows ABAP, he knows the gateway, he knows OData, he knows Java, he knows a few of other things that some of you may know as well. And he's invited to help the company to get fast running on UI5 and the Fiori Launchpad, because they don't really have the people there. However, this IKEA company, they actually have a lot of SAP in-house. So all bigger companies have that typically, and he's a big fan of Fiori. So he gets a lot of presents from SAP, and they ask him, hey, come on, run on Fiori now. So he invited this guy. So okay, let's do it. So he starts with a prototype project, and everything is fine. He gets his room without windows, with a door, and he has a laptop from the company, and then he can start working with this. What he's going to do is he's going to use, first of all, the tools that are installed on that laptop, which is for development UI5, of course, the best IDE worldwide, which is Eclipse, right? Yeah. Okay. So he's going to use that. And of course, he's going to use that because he heard from some people that actually you need to use that if you want to deploy applications to SAP, right? So there's the team provider. And okay, he's going to use that. So after some time, people come to him, other departments, say, hey man, this is great, we want to have that as well. So now he has a problem, because he's only one person, and a lot of people want those apps because the feedback was amazing. Nice UX and everything is fine. So after some while, of course, the team increases. So suddenly he has a few more people working with him. They're sitting in the same room. They even get a room with a window now, seeing the waterfall behind the scenes. And this is amazing. So they work, and when they have questions, they just talk to each other. They discuss with each other. They probably do pair programming. And if someone is not available, probably the other person on the team can somehow replace him. So everybody knows in some way what the other guys are doing. So what is that guy, that technology consulting, actually doing now? After a while, it turns out that everybody is coming to him saying, hey, I have a question. Hey, can you help me? I need this. And how do I do this? I do need to do that. And I need to deploy the application. And what is ES6? And what is Babel? So most of his time, he's now blocked by helping the colleagues, and he cannot really do his work. So helping is fine, but he would love to do some other stuff. So it's about sharing knowledge. So he's sharing the knowledge with, and he has lots of knowledge. And after some time has passed, even more people get to the team. So we're now talking about teams worldwide. And as you get teams worldwide, the challenge is, of course, communication. The more people you have, the more you have to think about communication paths. And we have also not only the language, we have different time zones, and we have culture, and everything is involved in here. So now it gets pretty tricky to share knowledge, right? So how can that one team that knows everything, and all these people, they are rookies in UI5, they don't know much. They just started. They are strong with JavaScript and web development. How do they get to know UI5? How do they get up very fast and changing, running, deploying applications? So first approach was, you know what? Everybody sends emails when they have questions. What is that? That's a code review. Has anyone ever done code reviews using emails? No, I don't believe that, because I did. So, you know, someone sends you an email and says, hey, would you mind checking that? And then you go into the code. You don't have any tool. You copy and paste and add a comment. And you have bullet list and reply to the email. So this is, it can happen. Of course, this is not 2019, right? So there's some tools that he has researched. And gladly, these are actually the tools that even the UI5 team is using. So we're talking here about Gerrit. We're talking about Jenkins here. Well, SAP, of course, is using ABAP systems here, so we got ABAP here as well. And if you think about that slide, this is something that is very common in something that lots of companies actually have this kind of setup. So these servers up there are the gateway front-end servers. It's not complete, so there are some back-end servers as well, of course. And you have the developer. One developer is getting code from Gerrit. And by the way, this Gerrit includes Git. So all this thing here is Gerrit. So this is maybe a little bit confusing, this little box here. But so there's a tool that is called Gerrit. And from there, everybody can simply get the code, the latest code. They can do their changes and push any changes then up to Gerrit again to a very special place. And then other people from the team can go to that place and to that tool and check the change, give review and feedback to that code. And that person maybe that person gets bad feedback, so got to update the change. And maybe everything is fine. But at the same time, there is a Jenkins job triggered, which is doing some code validation, some testing, just some automation, and also gives feedback to Gerrit. So if both the feedbacks are just fine, someone is allowed to see and press a button called submit button. And then when that button is pressed, the change gets here into Git. Well, actually, it's into the master branch here inside Gerrit. And after that, there is another job that after some time, or however you've implemented that job or configured that job, this job will make sure that changes that get down here, they are deployed to the development system. And yes, this is not working like this in typical scenarios outside of the SAP world, because outside of the SAP world, you have a Jenkins here, and from here, you don't only deploy here, but you deploy here and here as well. In the SAP world, of course, you deploy to development system, and then you have SAP mechanisms, which is the transport system that allows you to transport the change to the next system in the row, right? So this is basically the scenario. And we want to have a look at this. I've set up a few Docker containers here. I'm running them. I have an SAP system, and I'm going to show you a few things and how these things work. I've also made my private repositories on GitHub public, so you can get the code right now. And actually, you can run the examples on your laptop if you want right now by following exactly the examples that the descriptions inside the Git repositories. So, did anyone ever use Gerrit? Okay, that's, I would say, less than 10%. I would say, so rarely, okay. Jenkins in UI5 development. Okay, I'm not sure, 1/3 maybe, yeah, okay. ABAP? Okay, yeah. Okay, great. So we got all the ABAP people here. Okay, so I'm going to show you in a second what Jenkins is, and I'm going to show you the latest version of Jenkins. But this is one slide, and I'm not going to read through that because it will bore you. There is one challenge that we definitely have. So when we work for clients, we don't use OpenUI5, right? We use SAP UI5, right? So you need to think about a way to use SAP UI5 on localhost in your development infrastructure. You need it everywhere, and we can't use OpenUI5 with the Launchpad, right? There's more, how to get rid of those IDEs that we don't want to use anymore, because there's more. I had the feeling some of you don't like Eclipse here. How do I generate those preload files in UI5, right? So when you use Eclipse and a team provider, you upload things. There is no preload generated, by the way. So it's just, the old school fashioned code that you have, and that's it. There's a lot of stuff And how about, this is important probably, how about using third-party libraries? It could be third-party like Moment.js. I'm going to show you an example. It could be also some UI5 library that you want to integrate into your application. It could be coming from an external Git repository, from NPM. It could be from an internal repository somewhere. So these are the things that you have, right? So who of you has libraries, UI5 libraries in the company? Right? So there are quite a few people who have that. So, and in the end, it's all about sharing knowledge and helping the people just concentrate on developing code and not how do I set up my project structure so that it works in a way that I want it to work. What about Karma? What about automated testing? What about Babel? What about all that other stuff that you may want to have, right? So I've set up a few projects for that, and they have everything included. And they don't use Bower anymore, by the way. I've changed that. And we'll see that now in a second, because I just received on a Monday morning, well, it's not Monday, but I just received a notification from the CIO, CTO, and he said, hey, we have an issue on production, and we're going to use a lot of money, 1 million per minute, and I have to fix that. And I'm new in the company, so I have no idea what I got to do. Gladly, I know that they have a pretty cool setup in that company. So they have things set up in a way I can just check out the code, I can do a few things, do my changes, and then deploy it. And I'm going to show you how that works right now. So let's do that. So my show here is open. Oh, by the way, probably I should, no, you know that. So it's on GitHub. So these are the links. I'll share that later with you guys. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open my browser, and I'm going to the Gerrit repository right here. And this is Gerrit. Who knows this version of Gerrit? It looks quite weird, right? It's so different. So this is version 3. It was published on May 20th. That's your birthday, by the way, on May 20th. And so it's quite new. And I'm going to log in now with my user, Nabi secret. No, don't save that. And here we go. So I got to find that project now, and it's a repository right here, and I know it's this seed app project right here. I'm going to take that project. I like to clone a project right now with the commit message hook, because I need that commit message hook for the reviews. I'm going to clone that right now. And now all I need is some skills in executing Git commands. So I just, well, copy and pasting basically. So I go to a Git folder right here. This is empty right now. I just paste it in here and execute it. What did I do before I did that? Well, I have added my public keys to Gerrit, so SSH is working seamlessly. Everything is fine. So this is my code, and now I'm going to see to check that code. So what ID do you want to use? WebStorm. Who was that? I love WebStorm. I have them all here. I think I should just use the things here. I mean, VS Code. If you want to use WebStorm, it has the best Gerrit integration that I think of. Do you agree with that? Because if you use VS Code, I think there's room for improvement. You got to do things mostly on the command line. So this is what we're going to do now. Well, I know that the guy told me there's a stupid message showing up, and it just doesn't make any sense. So it must be somewhere in the view, I guess. Let me check that. Is it here? Oh, yeah, look at that. There's a typo. And because of that typo, we're using 1 million per minute. So hello world. I'm going to check that in right now. OK, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going back to the shell. I say git add, just add it right here. And then I say git commit, and I'm going to give it a message, which is fixed it for you, right? Is that a good message? Awesome. Yeah, and now what do I have to do? Well, it's git push. I'm going to push to origin, and it's the current head, and it goes to somewhere which is called refs for master. So this is a so-called, they call it a magic ref spec. It is something that tells Gerrit, it's not the refs heads master, it's not the master branch, but it's refs for the master branch. So everything that goes here is like for code review for the master branch. This is how you can think about that. So I'm just going to push that. I hope it works. Okay, works, and it gives me a URL. I didn't configure all the email configurational steps that you need to go through, so I don't receive any emails, but that's fine for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going here to Gerrit, and suddenly I see, look at that. There's a change right here, and I can have a look at that change. And as you can see, there's some job running here. Jenkins, patch set, whatever it has started. So this is right here. So it was the Jenkins validation step that is triggered automatically on check-in for code review right here. And that job is running right here. Here it is, and we could now have a look at that and see the output. It's just doing a few things. There's a Jenkins pipeline for that. It handles everything for me. A Jenkins file for that. Okay, so it's going to do a few things, and in the meanwhile, you know what? I need to have the CEO or the CTO, I mean the CTO is the guy who can judge me here. I'm going to add him as a reviewer because he told me do that, right? So I'm going to add him right here, and he's actually going to receive an email right now. He's now here. And that email is not configured, of course. But what I'm going to do, so he has received an email, and I'm going now to open a new window here. Go to Gerrit. Can you hear how my fan is getting loud? The fan on my laptop. So I'm going to log in. So I'm Hasso now. Secret. I have received this email, so I'm going to check it now. And I'm giving him a feedback. Oh my God, what is this actually? I mean, I don't like that. So I'm going to give feedback on the commit message, right? This is a stupid message. So I say stupid message, right? So this is number one. I'm going to the next one, which is here, not word. It should be world, right? Or actually, you know what? Remove the whole thing, right? With all, right? That's what we want. So now I'm going up. I can see that, you know, all my changes are reviewed. So they are reviewed. I have seen those files. In the meanwhile, Jenkins has returned everything is fine with the code. So from code perspective, things are fine. And now, actually, I'm Hasso. I said I don't like it. So you know what? I'm just giving you the worst thing I can give you. You stupid whatever, okay? And this -2 is now blocking me to submit that code from the review branch to the master branch, right? So what do I have to do now? Well, I know that. I have received an email. I know what's going wrong. I get his feedback. What I got to do right now is I go back to the code, and I'm going to check the code again, and he just wanted me to remove this one here. What else was it? The commit message, right? So I'm going to remove that one. Then I'm going back right here. I'm going to say git add, and then I'm going to say, where's my commit? This one, but don't do it like that. Patch sets are uploaded with amend. So git commit amend. And now I get the old message. Okay, I just say, I love you. I'm going to save that. Here we go. We don't need that one. And that's it. And now I'm just going to push it again to the same origin and just execute that. And then we're going to see that there is something like changes, refs here, updated 1. So it's not a new change. I just updated the last one. Next I'm going here. I just reload that probably. And suddenly I see here there's a patch set 2. Previously I didn't show you that. There was 1. This is where Hasso gave me the feedback. And now it's patch set 2, and this is patch set 2. So Hasso is going to love to check that, say, okay, I love you, sounds good. Okay, this is gone. That is amazing. So now I'm going either to wait for the Jenkins job to return again the +1 and say everything is verified, or I'll just say, you know, I just don't care. Usually I would wait, of course. And I'm Hasso, I have the authorization to skip that. So for that reason, and just because it may take a few seconds, I'm just going to say reply. I say +1. Oh, I'm not even allowed to say verified. Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to say send. Now this is +1. Now we gotta wait for that, or we wait for, or I just go as the one who made the change. Not good, don't do that. But I'm going to do it now. Where is it? My change is here. I'm going to reload that. I'm on number 2. Oh, Jenkins returned the +1 as well. And now I'm going to say reply. And no, sorry, submit. Before I press that button, I want to show you something. I have a sub GUI right here. This is my SAP system running here on Docker. I'm going to open the Fiori Launchpad. It didn't crash, that's good. The user was a developer, and the password was, oh my god, download. I'm going to say, no, don't want to save it. It takes a little bit to log on. Here we go, and now I'm on the Launchpad. And this is exactly the application. Usually I would go to that application, check, well, what's wrong with it? Okay, I can see it. So this is the old state, right? We see this message, I deleted that one. What I'm going to do next is I'm going back here, and now I finally press this submit button, which merges my change into the master branch. Continue. And we see that this has changed now. It's merged. And when I go back to Jenkins, so this is the start page. I have a folder called UI5. And in this folder, I have template projects that I can use for my own UI5 project. It's like copy and paste. It takes less than 30 seconds to create a new job based on that with any repository. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to all or just to the ones that are enabled. And I can see it is running. So let me see what it's going to do now. Did I press the right one? Yes, it is. So it's running. So what's going to happen now is this is going through the whole build process. It's doing a few things. It's doing the bundling, the preload generation. It's doing the testing, typically, ESLint stuff. And then after that, it will call a plugin, a grunt task, an open source task. And everybody knows that. It's the NetWeaver uploader something, right? And without that, we would all be lost, by the way. So I'm glad that that person released that one on NPM, and he deserves the Oscar, right, for all of us. Because I'm using that kind of stuff for like 4 or 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. But without him, it wouldn't have worked. So it's still creating the build. Let's give it a second. It depends on your Jenkins server and the power of your Jenkins server. And my Docker container is not very fast. So I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm trying to talk while this is taking some time. Now it's going to upload. And can you see that? This is the NetWeaver uploader. It's just uploading. So I didn't upload. I didn't go to Eclipse, opening this theme provider. I get everything generated, the preload files as well. Furthermore, I didn't have to go to the sub GUI and calling this report, the UI upload, repo upload report. It's not needed anymore. I can just do it. I can let Jenkins do that for me. And I can actually do the same thing. This is successful now. I can do the same thing, actually, from pretty much, did I close it? No, it's here. So I'm going to reload that one right here now. So we expect that this message is gone. I'm reloading it, and voila, it's gone. So nobody was involved into deploying this application. I have everything in here, and my hello world works. And by the way, this is moment.js as a package.json, as an npm dependency, which I use here in the application. You're going to see how it looks like, how you can do that as well. And this is how it works. And you know what? Actually, I want to change maybe something else. What is that? Let me close that one. Let me go back here. And it tells me there is one thing pending here. You know, I just go here and say pull rebase. Now everything is gone. So it got the state from the master now. And what I'm going to do next is, let me just, I don't know. There's a library. I have a library in here in this application. It's a dependency right here. Well, it's not in here yet, so I gotta add this. So I'm going to take that one right here, and I know for sure it's called lib. And then we're going to change that one here to lib, right? And this is the library. What else do we have to do? If I want to deploy, I have documentation for that. There's one more thing we got to do. For this, I'm going to open this file here. Those of you who know my tooling from the older versions may know this one. So I'm going to take this file, just putting it here. And I need this file. This is my user file. It does not get committed to Git at all. So it will never be in Git. It will only stay here. So it's in the Git ignore. And here, actually, there are a few things I can do. I can easily, for example, I could easily install SAP UI5. I'll show you that in a second. But more importantly, is it holds the information where to find my SAP user and password. It's somewhere on localhost. And it's something I don't want to share with people as well. So this is what I have here. And if I have the library there, that's not all I got to do, right? So what else do I have to do? Who knows it? Nobody wants to talk with me? Well, we need a dependency, right? Without a dependency, it's nabi.seed.lib. And that's the ID of the manifest JSON file of the library project, which you can see on GitHub. So here is the dependency. Well, and now I want to use one of the controls here in my application and show you how easily it is to deploy that to the ABAP system if it doesn't crash.
Specify somewhere from where the library has to go?
No, that's a good question. We'll get back to that in a second. It's the app index. That's the short answer. But I'll tell you in a second. So, so this is what I've done now, but it's not going to be used, right, until, let me just put it somewhere up here. And there is something that is called product rating control. It's from the walkthrough tutorials. I basically copied it. Maybe I changed something. I don't remember. Product rating. Is that right? It is. So it should be enough. Does that work? No. Why not?
Because you made a typo.
That's a good one. I didn't expect this one. I wanted to hear something like this. Right? I need a namespace because this is now in the mobile namespace or whatever. Yeah, the mobile namespace. So here it's nabi.seed.lib. The name seed by the project, I took this, it's historical. So when I learned Angular back in 2010 or 11, I don't remember, those seed projects, Angular.js seed projects were quite popular, and I used those, and I loved them because they helped me, get things up running very fast. So I took them over here, that name at least. And product, does that work? No. Here we go. Right? So this is what we need. And after this, it should be enough. No? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you are already reviewing my code right here. So usually, I would push that to Garrett and ask for code review, right? What I'm going to do now, I'm just brave enough, and I'm just going to deploy it to SAP and run and call SAP, right? The Fiori Launchpad. npm install. This is required, and by the way, if you see any warnings here, because someone asked me on SCN, if you see any warnings, security warnings here, 16 security issues found, call blah 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 fix and so on to fix them. Don't worry. This is not the UI5 application that we're deploying now. These are the modules that are here as dependencies, okay? So, it still takes some time. So it's creating a few things. Okay, this is not available, so it got to be built, compiled. And to answer that question right now, and I use that little gap now. So when you correctly deploy the application to the ABAP MIME repository, and this is where the UI5 applications resist, then there's a so-called app index, and this app index is getting updated automatically. So your libraries, your UI5 apps, your components, and everything is in that app index. So you just need to reference that. And if you run your application from the Fiori Launchpad, then the Fiori Launchpad basically makes sure to know to find out where exactly the resources are, right? And it makes also it considers also those timestamps that you know in the URLs, right? If you uploaded your stuff and you have a standalone application calling it by the index HTML file, so it's not in the Fiori Launchpad, well, you have a problem. Then you have to add the resource routes to make sure where to find those applications, right? So this is the difference here. Does that answer? Okay, so this is done. Now npm run. What was that? I don't know. I gotta check this. I forgot. I always get confused here. No, I'm going to do something else. Here, I could now install SAP UI5. I'm going to show you that. Well, I'm not going to show you. Well, I'm going to do it. It will tell me something. It will tell me that, hey, you know what? I already have it, and it's here. If it's not here, it will automatically download the SAP UI5 SDK, put it in the right place in your application project. Well, actually not in your project, wherever you have it there. So you can share it across multiple projects. You download it and extract it only once. And then you have SAP UI5 on localhost. You're going to see that in a second. So, but what I'm going to do now is it's grunt sub deploy. And this is doing the same thing that was happening on Jenkins, right? So Jenkins basically did that stuff. Look at that. It's now uploading everything. That's it. So I just deployed an application within 5 seconds using the sub GUI or Eclipse. Probably takes a little bit longer. And of course, we want to see, did that really work? I think it's here. I just go to reload that page. And here it is. So we have now a control from UI5 library integrated in here. And this is the one that you know from the walkthrough. This control, by the way, I have adapted it. It considers also language changes. So whenever you change the language of your UI5 application, the texts get changed as well. I did that because a lot of people ask me, how do I do that? So it's here now. You can have a look at that. OK, so this is it. But you know, this is now deployed. I want to run that stuff on localhost, right? So let's give it a try. So I'm here. I just say npm, sorry, this is grunt. Right, it's all grunt. Grunt, what was it? Serve, and you know what? I'll go a step further to show you even more. Probably my laptop will crash now. Edge. This grunt serve edge is enabling a lot of things that you may want to have. So it's allowing you to do test-driven development. So here, a browser open, and it's running all your tests automatically. We have OPA tests, we have QUnit tests, right? And it allows you to do Babel. So it's all integrated now. So you can use arrow functions and whatever, and everything works. It didn't find my button for some reason. Let me check that. There's an error with that. I don't know why. I didn't find my. So it works. It failed, right? I don't know why. Actually, should have worked. Anyway, gotta check that. So it runs. It fails here in that case. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to call. I hate Safari here, by the way. So I'm going to use probably this one. And it's localhost 8080. And I have a starting page. It tells me a lot of things what I can do. So first of all, with this sub UI5 install, I have this here. So I can now browse the whole SDK on a train, right? This is number one. Number two, I can run the application. And it's, I destroyed something, obviously. It doesn't work anymore. Let me check, and that's why I couldn't load. Now I'm wondering why. Let me see. We do it different. I have another idea. Because I have a working project somewhere else, which is, I'll show you that in a second, which should be, no, it's here, and then UI5 seed app. Does it have an npm? Yeah, so we say just grunt serve. So this one should hopefully work. So I did a few last-minute changes, and that's why probably it didn't work. So here's what we already know. Oh, look at that. This one works, right? So the test automation was working here, so I killed something in the other one. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, where was that browser I wanted to use? Right here on localhost. I reload that. This is the Fiori Launchpad on localhost. I'm going to run the application. I got it all. This is a component. It's calling a list of customers from the Northwind service. And yes, security is not disabled because there are ways, even in the old tooling, to enable the proxy. And I have done that in a project. So you can have a look at that. And it works. So I can select one. And this component is from a component a standalone component, which I have also deployed, and it's as a dependency here inside the project on localhost. But what else I can do is, there's a custom theme. So, we have custom themes, and the difference here, I was lazy, so I just changed in this custom theme here the logo to the UI5 icon, and that's it. But everything else works again just the same way, right? And of course, I could try with the CDN versions, with the local open UI5 if I'm happy with that. Or a standalone application is also sometimes a topic. Nightly build, so sometimes you want to check against the nightly build. If you have SAP UI5, you don't have nightly, you only have open UI5 as nightly build. And then we have here, only if you have SAP UI5, we've got also the test suite, which runs all of the tests, right? And these kind of things, and you know what? It's going to work now, hopefully. These kinds of tests you can also execute simply on Chrome, headless. And I'm going to show you what's actually going to happen behind the scenes. So I just go here, and I just say grunt test. And this test is now executing those tests. It even gives me some feedback. I should have used a different background here. So it gives me some feedback. It gives me the coverage here. And I could also use CI. If I do it like this, then it won't be success. It will fail because in the configuration, I think I've configured to have at least 30% code coverage. Because of that, it will fail. And the funny thing is that I got to show you this. Like this. Serve. Edge. Because everything, even the third-party libraries, the testing and OPA test and so on, they also work. Oh, this was the wrong project. It also works. It should work from the test right there. So I can press it, and they are loaded correctly as well. So this is the seed project setup. And now we don't have much time left, 3 minutes left. I can go a little bit deeper into how the project is set up, or I leave that to you. So it's some configuration that I have. It's not using the latest UI5 tooling. Why not? You could use it for the library project. You can give it a try and see what happens. The problem is SAP UI5, right? We have SAP UI5, and we need a tooling for SAP UI5. But the tooling is, for us, it's working only for Open UI5. And that's an impediment. If I would be working on a Scrum project now, I'll let my Scrum Master tackle that problem, right? It's an issue. So this is what's happening. I think I should stop here because there may be some questions. We've deployed via Jenkins. We did some code review. Hasso loved my messages, my changes. And we have also deployed from localhost. We can run the application on localhost with SAP UI5, with custom themes, with dependencies to other libraries that we have without Bower, just with NPM dependencies. And this tooling, this mess of tooling, I'm a computer scientist, and we kind of love complexity, right? That's our job. So I created something complex because the UI5 tooling did not have this in the past. So hopefully the new tooling will soon be also available for SAP UI5, or SAP UI5 will be open sourced completely, right? That's what we all hope. So I'm very happy to answer questions.
Well,
now.
you have 6 minutes if you want
really?
to show. Yeah.
I thought it's 45.
No, it's 50.
Okay, so what did I want to show now? Okay, here it is. Let's have a look at the code. So this is the application code. We don't want to see that. I'll close everything right here. When I execute npm install, there are a few things done. So first of all, these two directories, they are opened. These are actually links on shortcuts on Windows and symlinks on Linux. And they're basically linking the content of npm modules. So if I have an npm dependency, it gets here. I'm not copying, I'm just linking, right? So this is number one. So here we can see these are test resources, so they're not getting deployed because I expect that the component is already in the Fiori Launchpad deployed. And the theme is just for localhost development. I want to test the latest theme from my company already while I develop my application so I can give feedback. So the resources here, these are the dependencies that I really want to deploy together with the application. And this one is a third-party library, Moment.js. When you press the button, how does it get in here? Well, let me show you that. It is the package JSON right here. And there's a dependency, typical dependency that you know from any npm, any node project. And then there's a little bit more, actually. We have a couple of strange files. Number one is this nabi.json. This is the project file. It has everything. It gets committed to Git, and it contains all the information. So some things you don't know. So these are the things that every project will share, basically. This is also something that would be used on Jenkins, right? And important is that we have the app, and there are the resources, the test resources, and the app resources. And somehow, the resources, these are things that are available directly under the root of the app. And then the test resources are test-resources, so you know where that comes from. And the app resources are somewhere inside the application, so they get bundled into the application. So if I look at the dist folder right here in the web app, that's the build result, I see that moment.js, this is what it's called, and I want it and from this folder under node modules moment min, and it should go into a third-party library. So I expect a third-party library in the build result, and this folder, and this folder should have a subfolder called moment, and there I should find this content. And that's exactly what we find right here. And all I have to do is changing the manifest JSON to load the correct JS file, and that's it. So this is my own setup, right? And in the YAML files, the UI5 YAML file, you'll see that they have also some kind of, I agree, it's a better one, better configuration that allows you to have third-party libraries linked to your project. What else do I have to tell you about that one? If I want to change something, I don't change it here because this is something everybody gets. What I'm going to change is there's a user.nabi.json file, and here I can overwrite some of the changes for my local development environment. Do you remember the days where you didn't have Maven, or there wasn't even a discussion where people said, hey, we check in the project file from Eclipse into Git, even though it was a Maven project? Remember those discussions from now? Anyway, so this is something you don't want to check in. It's only yours, and it's your, nobody else has this path properly. And this is telling that this is where this UI5 version has to be downloaded from. It will be downloaded actually here. After the download, it will be deleted, and it will be extracted to this folder. And based on this, there's some more logic here. Based on this, if I want to change my UI5 version, you know what? We can do that and see how fast it takes, actually. So it's sub dev tools. After that, I'm done. So UI5, what version do we have? So it's 66.0, right? So I'm going to take this right now. 66.0, and probably I want to have it here. 6.0. All right, so this is what I want to do. And now I go to now I got to know which project. Where is this now, actually? Show me. Oh, it's in the other one. Okay. Is it here? I'm not sure. No.
Maybe you can open a shell in the
Yeah, that's right. And I can do it here. I don't like it in VS Code. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's right. Okay, so it's npm run install sub UI. Was it sub UI5 or sub UI5 SDK? I think it's, we'll see, right? So now it's going to take a while. I was a little bit lazy adding here a progress bar. So just wait for it. Depends on your network connection, of course. And it will download it to that location. And then it will extract the content. And then when I call grunt serve, I will show you that I will have the SAP UI5 SDK running in my on localhost by showing you the demo kit. And all the applications will use that version as well. Why do I have this? Who can answer that? Because what? SAP UI5 is not fully open source, right? So that's why we implement, well, stuff like that, right? That actually we should not do. Okay, so let's wait for that. And while we wait, I think I'm pretty much done now. So questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Quick questions with quick answers.
What about transport requests?
That's a good question. Very good. I have a file called SAP deploy JSON. So in this file, everything is included. So there's my gateway server up there. There's my system. It's on localhost. So it's the trial, ABAP trial, the one that killed my knight last night. So, and there you can give it some information. So this is basically the information that you use from the grunt task, the NetWeaver uploader. And I have just packed it in a way that you can just put it into your project and you can share it with the whole team. And whenever the transport request needs to be updated, of course, you update it right here. And then you commit the change, of course, to Git. And then everybody makes a pull, and they got it as well. And this is also the one that is used on Jenkins. So Jenkins is executing the same tooling that I have here. What about a password? What about a password? Well, the password was something that I have here. So there's a file right here, right? So I could show you the content if you want. Here it is. I could have multiple, you don't see? Oh yeah, here it is. So I could have multiple entries. I could deploy to multiple systems. This is just NPL. And it tells that for NPL, my user is developer and download. That's a standard password for the trial edition, for the ABAP trial.
What about Jenkins then?
Jenkins is a different topic. In Jenkins, you would configure passwords as so-called credentials, some secrets. And then in your job, you would need to use them. This works here as well. In my tooling, I'm checking environment variables. And in the pipeline, in the Jenkins file, so this is where it happens. In the Jenkins file, I did this, don't do it like this, by the way. This is not how you want to do that. So you want to do that more like this here, but I had some issues because I have a problem that these passwords are masked even in the job on Jenkins, and that killed something for me. So I just, to show you that demo, I had a hardcode password here. So this is the password. It's used, and it's getting into the environment variables, and at build time, the tools read the environment variables and then place the password into the right spot in the JSON object. That's easy, right? So that's a dev for SAP GUI deployments for UI5, and that works for at least 5 years or something like that.
Okay, sorry, we have to stop now.
Yeah.
So thanks very much. Very entertaining, and here's a little gift.
Thank you.